love its author, and so that's God. And so if we want a better relationship with God, we have got to better our time with God, and that's to spend time in the Bible. Today's message, I want that to impact your head. So you're going to hear more Bible stories, you're going to hear more Bible verses, and I hope that that's going to be able to help you to know more about the Bible in your head. But I don't want that to just stop at your head, so you're walking out of church now with this bigger head, thinking that you've got all this Bible knowledge. Let that flow down into your heart, and when it flows down into your heart, let that change you to be a better person. And when your heart is changed, your hands are transformed. The things that you do with your life are going to be different. This is the 3 H's of a sermon. Let it impact your head, your heart, and then your hands. So in order for this to happen, we have to apply the message. Application is really important. Having information about what is in the Bible is not enough. Even Satan knew enough of the Bible to quote it. And the reality is, Satan actually knows the Bible very well. He probably knows the Bible better than all of us here. And so for us to say, oh, I know the Bible, that's not good enough. We've got to know the Bible and then to actually apply the Bible into our life. If we don't do that, then, well, guess what? Satan just does that too. He just knows the Bible, but he's not applying it. This is today's comment. And so the grandma says, wireless communication is nothing new. I've been praying for 75 years. Okay? And so when the young people think about prayer, they're like, yeah, it's my wireless communication. But it's really through a device, right? That's our wireless communication. But to some of us that have lived a little bit longer, we know that the most important wireless communication is the communication that we have between us and our Father. So today's sermon, it is titled Joys in Prayer. We're going to be talking about prayer today and why that's so important. And so the sermon question is, when I'm worried about life, what should I do? So all of us, we have worries in our life. And sometimes when these worries come, we become very, very paralyzed. We don't know what to do. So then we don't do anything. And so this is the question that I'm proposing for all of you. When you've got these life worries, what are you going to do? And so I had to figure that out on my own with all these worries. And so I would like to think that I'm not the only one that has worries in my life. And so, maybe for some of you, you've also asked, when I'm worried about life, what should I do? What is it that God wants us to do when we're so worried about life? And so today, if there's only one thing that you can walk away and remember, if after the entire sermon, and all you remember is one thing, I want you to remember this simple message. Go to God in prayers for all of your worries. Give it all to God with all of your life worries. So today we're almost done. This entire fall we've been going through the book of Philippians. And the book of Philippians only has 4 chapters. And so we're in the 4th chapter. And so then this is sermon series 7 of 8. And so this is going to be the last chapter of the book of Philippians that we're going to be going into. So to get us started here, the way that I kind of look at the world is there are 2 different types of people in this world, okay? There are those in this world that are very carefree. And I love meeting these people because there's always a smile on their face. They're so optimistic. They're always so happy. Like Brother Sang, he's like one of these guys where every time you look at Sang, he's just got a smile on his face. And he looks so carefree. And so that's him. And I know that you all know of people like that. And those are really fun people to be around with because they're so positive. And then you've got the other type of people, the warriors, the worrywarts, okay? And so these are the people that are very worried about things of this world. So, if you don't mind me asking, okay, which one are you? Go ahead, feel free to share. Which one are you? Luke?
Carefree.
You're carefree. Okay? Somebody else. Okay, Alicia.
Lately, I think I'm more of a warrior.
Okay? So that means that you used to be more carefree?
I find when I'm like closer to God in my spiritual walk, I'm more carefree.
Okay.
Lately, I just find myself worrying about just even starting a new job. Am I going to be good enough? It's like the devil puts these thoughts in my mind.
Sure.
And I just, I'm doubting myself and I tend to worry. So.
Okay. All right. Anybody else? Gabby. You're carefree? Brother Quadir.
I think I'm that white line right there.
Okay. All right. Okay. Sister Joan.
I think that I think I really see myself most of the time. People see me as a character because like I present myself as
Yes.
very optimistic and
Yeah.
but again when I'm not walking close with the Lord and keeping myself in prayer, prayer is huge. Prayer is
Yes.
huge. I surround myself with it at work. I have all kinds of little things to cue me if
Mhm.
if I'm feeling I'm not walking as close as I need to.
Okay.
It's the word grace to pull me back.
Yeah.
Release me from the warrior. I don't like to be in that warrior place because it is paralyzing when you let
Yeah.
yourself there. So people say, how do you always stay so positive? I say it's a choice.
Mhm.
You have to make a choice.
Yes. Amen. Okay. All right. Which one is Pastor Yao?
I think you're a warrior.
I see you as carefree. I
Okay.
see you more like that because you're always positive. I never see you.
So just for fun and giggles, I'm going to poll the audience. Okay. So everybody has to raise their hand. Who thinks Pastor Yao is carefree? Raise your hand, please. Okay. All right. Put your hands down. How many people say he is a warrior? Wow. We're like split right halfway in the middle. Okay. And so I would have to align myself a little bit more with being a warrior. Okay. And yeah. So you might not see it, which is a good thing. Okay. But inside, I worry quite a bit. And this is part of the reason why. So I was raised in a family where I'm the oldest of 9. And so when you're the oldest of 9, you have all these expectations that you're supposed to meet, that you're supposed to do. And like mom and dad, they give you all these expectations. And after a while, being the oldest, it starts to pile all the time. And you're just afraid to fail mom and dad. And so these expectations start to weigh heavy on you. And not only that, but because we grew up so poor, my parents always emphasized you need to get a good education so that you don't have to go and work at Kobe and Kobe with me. And so that was the scare tactic that my dad gave to me is you need to work very, very hard in school so that you can get a better job. And so there was a lot of pressure being the oldest of 9 kids to academically do well, to go to college, to get a good job. I could not fail my parents. I could not fail my siblings. And because of this, there was a lot of pressure. And so these pressures end up becoming these great worries because I was so afraid to fail. And that's why today I am kind of who I am because of what's happened in my background. And so today we're going to be talking about the book of Philippians chapter 4, verse 6 and 7. Brother Ed already read that Bible verse. And so today we're going to actually do a case study. We're going to examine a story in the Bible that talks about letting God just take control of all of your problems. Okay, can anybody tell me who this king is? Who thinks they know this story? King who? Huh?
I don't know.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
You need a
Okay.
letter.
So we're going to today, the case study that we're going to take a look at, it is going to be King Hezekiah. Okay? So we're going to be talking about King Hezekiah. So to all of you young people in here, okay? I think Bible names are really, really fun and cool because, like when you name your kids Bible names, people are like, oh, where's that from? You're like, So then you automatically know, like, you probably don't read the Bible. So then, like, that's why like, Malachi, Enoch, we love that name. But I think another cool name, like Hezekiah, like, whoever hears of Hezekiah, everybody hears, like, oh, you're Sam, or you're Bob, or whatever, but nobody ever hears of, hey, I'm Hezekiah. So that'd be really cool, okay? So today we're going to be talking about King Hezekiah. So when we talk about the story of King Hezekiah, we're talking about the kingdom of Israel. And so Hezekiah, he's Jewish, and so then he was a king during this time period, around the 700s BC. And during this time, there was no longer one Israel. But unfortunately, Israel was divided into two kingdoms. And so the northern kingdom, you have the kingdom of Israel, and then you have the southern kingdom, which is the kingdom of Judah. King Hezekiah is the king of the southern kingdom of Judah during the 700s BC. So King Hezekiah, he became king at the age of 25. Anybody 25 here? Chase, you're 25?
No, I'm gonna be 29.
You're going to be 29? Yes. I can't even fathom being a king at the age of 25, being in charge of all these people, okay? So after taking over, he destroys the pagan altars, the idols, and the temples. And so his father was just a really, really wicked person. But King Hezekiah was a good son who loved God. And so he destroyed all these idols. He had a close relationship with God. And so during this time, the prophets Isaiah and Micah helped him to rule. And so Isaiah and Micah, they were prophets. And so they had a really close relationship with God. God spoke to these prophets, and then these prophets kind of spoke to Hezekiah. So during this time, like kings in all of history, every king always has to have a what?
A queen.
A queen, but not only that, an arch nemesis, right? You can never just be a king and rule pleasantly and have everything go your way. There always needs to be some sort of an enemy that you have out there. And so, King Hezekiah's arch nemesis during this time, it is King Sennacherib of the Assyrian Empire. So this is a ruthless guy. So take a look, okay? This is the kingdom, this is the empire of the Assyrians. And so it goes right over here. This is Judah right over here. So King Hezekiah, he's like the king of this little area here. And so then his enemy, Sennacherib, he controls this whole Assyrian empire. Alright? And so their capital city is Nineveh. What's famous about Nineveh? What do we know about Nineveh? Okay, Brother Quadir. Yeah. So God told Jonah, there's all these wicked, evil people in the city of Nineveh. You need to go there and tell these people to stop being wicked. And we know that Jonah did not do that. He ran away, got eaten by the whale, and then he finally decided, okay, I've had my punishment. I've sat in jail long enough, 3 days in the belly of a whale. Okay? So he probably came out smelling like fish sauce. Us smelling people, we know what fish sauce smells like. He probably didn't like that, so then he says, I will be obedient. So then, okay, so Nineveh is the capital of the Assyrian Empire. You guys, okay, if you don't know anything about history during this time period, Nineveh, that's Iraq. It's Iraq. So I want to tell you, I can relate to what it means to be in Iraq. And so this was me back in 2004. Okay? That's a 203. That's a grenade launcher. Okay? And so when I was growing up, you know, like, people told me about, like, the Holy Land. People told me about places in the Bible. But at the age of 24, I never thought in my life that I would one day be visiting the Holy Land in this capacity. And so it was really like I experienced a lot of really bad things. We saw a lot of bad things. But it was also kind of cool going back into this very ancient land, knowing that this was the Holy Land. And so here's one of those places that we were at. And so, as a combat soldier, being in the Army, one of the things that we did on a daily basis was to go and make sure that the local indigenous Iraqi population did not have any weapons that they were going to try to either kill us Americans or the innocent Iraqi civilians. And so on this particular day, we were actually at this really ancient facility. It's like this gladiator place. It's like this big pool. And so we thought that this was a place where the men would go and gather together to bathe, because back then the ancient people, men would gather together and bathe with other men. But it actually turned out to be kind of like a burial site to honor an Iraqi person. On this particular day, we went to the ancient ruins. And so it's so cool. These are hundreds or thousands of years old. For all we know, it could have been during the time of the Assyrian Empire. And to go and see that was just so super awesome. And the coolest structure that I've ever seen in my life when I was in the Holy Land was this place.
Oh, that's nice.
So this is called the Spiral Minaret. And so, this is right in the middle of the city. And so when we were with the Iraqis, we were like, hey, why did the Iraqis build this? And so the story was that a long time ago, if you guys know anything about the Bible, about the Tower of Babel, these people tried to build their way up to heaven. And so supposedly this is supposed to be like a 1/16th replica of the Tower of Babel. And so this thing was so huge, it was so awesome being in this ancient land, seeing these ancient structures, and for that to be connected to possibly these empires a long time ago. And so not only was it cool to see these old Iraqi structures, but to me, I really enjoyed my time when I was with the Iraqis. Okay? So these are the Iraqi interpreters. So we couldn't speak Arabic that well, and so we had Iraqi interpreters that would go on missions with us, and they would interpret for us. And so we lived with the Iraqis. The Iraqis lived with us. And so then it was just so cool in 1 year getting to have a relationship with these Iraqis. Okay? And so my buddy there, his name was Waleed, and then the other one, his name was Obi. And so one day, Waleed said to me, hey gang, today I go back to my house. I go to the store, because when you're in Iraq, you can't go to the store by yourself. Bad things are going to happen to you. And so we were very restricted as to what we can do. So then Waleed says, I'm going to go back to my city, and I get to go to a store. Is there something from the store that you want? And I said, let me think about that. I've never been asked that question before. Something Iraqi that I want that I don't have. And so then I said, you know what, Waleed? What I would like, and so forgive me, because I don't know the actual term for it. We just called it a man dress, okay? So then I said, Waleed, it would be really cool to have a man dress. And he goes, I buy you that. And so then after he came back from his vacation, he came back and he was able to give me the Iraqi man dress. And so that was really cool, just having a relationship with these Iraqis, but also knowing that, their great ancestors was the Assyrian Empire.
Do you still have your man dress?
I still do, okay? I don't wear it anymore today because I have no need for that, but it just brings me lots of memories about spending time with the Iraqis and letting them know that somebody cares about them, okay? So the Assyrians, they have a 1 million man army. That's ginormous. It is huge. And that's the reason why the Assyrian Empire is able to overtake so much of the land that they have. And so it's in Nineveh where they need to start going west to take over all these other places. And so one of these places, it has to be Judah, where we know that King Hezekiah, he is ruling over. So to capture the kingdom of Judah, you must capture its capital city of Jerusalem. So Jerusalem was the capital city of the kingdom of Judah. And so if you capture Jerusalem, you capture the entire kingdom. And so that's where King Hezekiah was living. So when you think you've got a problem that could be your end of the world, just remember that it's probably very small compared to the problems that some other people have around you. Can you imagine being in King Hezekiah's position? You're a little kingdom that's going to be overtaken by King Sennacherib. He has a 1,000,000-man army that's going to be coming to take over your city. That's a big what? That's a big worry. Okay? So, it's a matter of perspective when we think about our worries. Now, some of you have worries because you just don't know what to choose to wear for the day. Alright? Okay? Yes. Some of these major first world problems that we have, right? I've got so much clothes, I just don't know what to choose. Okay? You know what? You may think that you have problems, but other people around the world, they have bigger problems than you. There are some that have no clothes. You have a hard time choosing what clothes to wear. Some people don't get to choose what they're going to wear because they have nothing. Some people, okay, maybe their house isn't big enough. It's not pretty enough. It's not good enough. But you know what? They have a roof over their head. Last year, we had a family come to the church. And so they were homeless. There was 3 of them. They were just living in their truck. This was the back of their truck. They had all of their basically life possessions in the back of that truck. And then after church, we talked to them. We were like, well, where are you guys going to go? And they're like, well, we're just going to go into our car, and tonight we're going to find a remote parking lot, and we're going to go and park in there. And once it gets too cold, then we're going to turn the vehicle on to kick in the heat for a little bit. We've been doing that for a few weeks now. And I asked how much more gas you guys got left, and they said they were almost at E. So then, because the cross cares about homeless families, we said that the least that we can do is to go and fill up your gas tank so that for the next couple of nights, you may be able to stay warm too. Okay? So when we think that we've got problems and we've got big worries, there are other people that have it worse than us. There's a lot of young people here in this country today who thinks that their life is so horrible because mom and dad didn't get them the latest and the greatest technology, the latest and greatest game system, the greatest phone that recently came out. I know, and I see, this is my picture. So one day we were in Iraq, and we were actually putting this wire around our base. And this little boy, as happy as he can be, he went out there with a little tire, and he was just rolling his tire down the block, and it was the happiest little guy I had ever seen. And you see, he was happy and content with a big old tire. That was it. You give a big old tire to a kid in America today. Okay? And they're going to give you this deer in headlight look like, what do you want me to do? Okay? But yet, to so many children around the world, just having one simple thing, like that made them happy. But yet here in America, we've got all these things, but yet we've got all this depression, anxiety, and sadness because we don't have the latest and greatest. Be thankful for what you have, because there are many around the world that have nothing. On this particular day, everywhere that I go, as a soldier, I always carry something with me. I either have candy with me to hand out to the little kids. On this particular day, my care packages of candy ran out, and so I got a care package of pencils. So I'm like, well, I'm not going to do a whole lot of writing in Iraq. And so then we were driving around the city, just making sure that was safe. And if you guys look, if you've never been to Iraq, like, that's why it's so dangerous. There's just garbage littered everywhere. They could put a bomb in the middle of that, and you don't even know. You get close to it, and you're a goner. And so on this particular day, we were driving our Humvees. We got to this corner, and these kids, the Iraqi kids, they love us so much. Every time that we go out there, they're always waving and saying hi to us. And so on this particular day, I had pencils. And so then they were by the sidewalk. And so then I just quickly opened up my window and I threw these pencils out to them. They picked it up, as you can see right there. And they were just so happy to receive pencils from an American soldier. And that meant the world to them. So some of us think that our work is not really pleasant, or going to school really stinks. But you don't understand the worries and the problems that you have compared to other people around the world. On this particular day, I saw these children wearing these orange jumpsuits. And they actually came to our base, and they had brooms and things like that. They were actually cleaning. And I was talking to one of my Iraqi soldiers that was next to me, and I said, hey, why are these kids wearing orange here to clean? And he said, these are the children in Iraq that are too poor. Mom and dad can't afford for them to go to school, or they're actually orphans. And so the government pays them money to go around the city to go and collect garbage. You see, these kids should be in school. They should be smiling, having a good time, enjoying their childhood. But yet, because they're so poor, having nothing, they're forced to basically work, pick up garbage for a living. That's what they do. So the next time that you think that school is bad, or your work really stinks, just know that someone's got it worse than you. Okay? We think that it's really annoying when mom and dad invades our life. Okay? But I can't even imagine how Hezekiah felt when his country was going to be invaded. Okay? So then, your worries and problems, okay, they could actually be worse. But you've got to start counting your blessings. We have got to stop thinking that our life is so bad. You are so blessed. Living here in the United States means that your life is so much more better than many of these people that I've been referencing. So when you think that you've got big problems, always remember that someone else has got it even worse than you. Be thankful for the little things in your life. Sometimes, when I think about my kids, and I'm like, these kids are so naughty, okay? These kids don't listen to me. These kids are doing things that I'm embarrassed about, okay? But sometimes I have to step back and I have to say, you know what, Yao? God's given you 6 healthy children. Be happy with what God has given you, because there are other children that are not as healthy, that are not as blessed. These kids are blessed, so I have to count my blessings. We all have to remind each other all the time that we need to thank God for all these little things that He has done in our life. It's as simple as toilet paper. Last year, when I went into my recovery coach classes, I met people who were willing to help addicts, and I also met addicts in that class who wanted to become better, okay? They wanted to become an addict to help other addicts. And so I met this lady, and she was from Wisconsin Rapids, and she has a middle school child. And one of the coolest things that I have ever heard just about being blessed and just being happy in the little things, she says, Pastor Yao, my son and I, we don't have much because her addiction has caused her life to just go downhill. And now she's finally recovering. And she says, Pastor Yao, we don't have much, but I tell my boy to thank God every day for toilet paper. I mean, we take toilet paper for granted. But there's other people around the world, they don't get toilet paper to use. And so that lady pressed it upon her son that he needed to be thankful that he at least gets toilet paper every day, because there are other people that don't even get toilet paper. You see, that mom was teaching his child to count the small blessings in their life. So if you think that you've got problems, Hezekiah's really got problems when it comes to the Assyrians. Would anybody want to be in Hezekiah's position? No. Okay? So then, if you don't know anything about the Assyrian army, they're the inventors of the siege strategy. These are the professional experts who figured out the way you can go into these walled cities that are fortified with these huge walls. Before you can even get in, you have got to overcome these huge walls. The Assyrian Empire, they were the inventors of how it is that you can take over a city that's walled. They invented that. Not only that, but they invented the battering ram. You see, every city that has a huge wall, you still need a door so that people can enter. Well, these are the guys that invented the battering ram, so you could just ram your way into the city. Not only that, but they were unbeatable in battle. They were ruthless and brutal to their enemies. This is one of the greatest empires that have ever lived. And now they're going to come to Hezekiah's city of Jerusalem. So the impending attack from the Assyrians, they're going to fight against the city of Jerusalem. Okay? So they see this huge million-man army that's coming into their city. So when life decides to throw problems at us, like all of us, we've got problems, unfortunately. Each and every single one of us, we have two ways that we can respond to life's problems. Option number one, when worries, problems, and stress come your way. Option number one says, you don't have to worry about it because you can say to yourself, I'll take care of it. Okay? So when you've got problems, you can say, I've got this. I've got this all under control. I can figure this out. Okay? You can do that, option one, or you can say, just go, God. God, take my worries. I'm giving this to you. I can't do it. And so I'm handing this to you. You need to help me through this. So what this means is that when problems come your way, who is the driver in your car? You see, all of us, we're in this journey together. It's called life. And in this journey called life, you can either take the steering wheel and say, God, I got this. I don't need you. God, you take shotgun. I got this all under control. Or we can say, God, I have no idea what I'm doing. Let me take shotgun. You drive, because I have no idea what to do. That's our options in life. God, I've got this, or God, you need to get it, because I ain't got it. So Hezekiah, he's just as human as you and I. He takes the first option. He goes, okay, there's this impending army of 1 million soldiers coming my way. I got this. Here's what I'll do. These people, King Sennacherib and his army, they like money. They like gold. They like silver. They like wealth. And so King Hezekiah decides that he is going to go into the temple of Jerusalem. He's going to take as much gold and silver from the temple. King Sennacherib and say, hey, just take our money, but don't hurt us. But that actually backfires. You see, when King Sennacherib, he sees all this wealth coming, that actually gives him a greater purpose to definitely invade and conquer Jerusalem. So that actually backfired. Instead of working for him, it worked against him. Now King Sennacherib's like, wow, that city has a lot of money and gold. We definitely got to take over that place. So that didn't work out. So then that plan didn't go quite as well as he thought. So then he says, okay, well, that's not going to work. Perhaps maybe what I need to do is I need to create an alliance with the Egyptians. You see, King Hezekiah knew that King Sennacherib, he was going to be sweeping through Judah and then eventually going into the kingdom of Egypt. After they got done taking over Judah, Egypt was going to be the next country. So then King Hezekiah says, hey, Egypt, they're going to come and kill you no matter what. So maybe we could team up together and let's do this. Let's fight against them together. But that alliance also did not work out. So then he's tried everything that he has. And so it's kind of interesting. This is what Isaiah, his prophet, said about this situation. Judah's worthless treaty with Egypt. That's what it says in the Bible, just so you guys know. Okay? That's what it says. Judah's worthless treaty with Egypt. And so it says, what sorrow awaits my rebellious children. So that's talking about Hezekiah and Egypt and the Israelites. Says the Lord, you make plans that are contrary to mine. You make alliances not directed by my spirit, thus piling up your sins. For without consulting me, you have gone down to Egypt for help. You have put your trust in Pharaoh's protection. You have tried to hide in his shadow. But by trusting Pharaoh, you will be humiliated, and depending on him, you will be disgraced. For though his power extends to Zon and his officials have arrived in Hanes, all who trust in him will be ashamed. He will not help you. Instead, he will disgrace you. Ouch. Can you imagine hearing that from Isaiah? To say, hey, you know how you didn't listen to God? This is God's message that he told me to tell you. And so that didn't leave Hezekiah feeling good. All right, so in other words, without God, your plans will never fully succeed. It might be okay for now, but it'll never be as blessed as it could be from God. So we can either choose our way, okay, which will never be completely blessed, or we can choose God's way, and God will bless us the entire way. We have that option. So what God wants from you in this crisis, in this hour of need, is for you to turn to him, to wait on him, to be quiet before him. So often we are so quick to make these decisions when we have not even gone to God and said, God, I've got a big problem. I'm going to wait here. I'm going to read your word. What do you want me to do? We make these rash decisions so quick without ever going to the Lord in prayer. Some people might say, well, the reason why I can't go to God is because I just don't have time to pray. And to that I say, straight out of excuses. Okay? Straight out of excuses. You have no excuse to say that you don't got time to pray. Because all of us, we've got time to be on Facebook,